Level 94, the leap to Yak'Tel. Alpha Nod seems eager to review your journey thus far. Sure, the others will be along shortly. I do hope everyone has rested well. Now that we have refreshed ourselves somewhat, let us consider all claimants as they currently stand. Zoralja and Koana have completed every feat thus far and hold 5 keystones apiece. Wuklamat would be equal with them but for Bakul Jaja's thievery, which has left us 1 short. That conniving braggart didn't so much as lift a finger for the feat of proof and wreaked havoc for the feat of ice. He can't have more than 3 keystones at most. He may think he can simply steal what he needs to win, but he's sorely mistaken. I will be taking back what is mine, this I swear. I fear that reclaiming your keystone may not be enough. That is, if Bakul Jaja's unleashing of Alagarmanda is any indication. Using his lead, I anticipate that he will move to obtain the remaining keystones before disrupting his rival's attempts. We may all find ourselves being forced to take from one another. Can't say I'd be comfortable with that. But neither will I surrender my claim to the throne so easily. If it's for the sake of preserving the happiness of my people, I'll do what I must. The last 2 keystones we require are those of the Lay of Repast and the Lay of the Brotherhood. The former depicts the cessation of hostilities between the Mamulja and the Exbral in the forests of Yak'Tel, specifically near a village called Ikbra. That's where I was born, if you recall. I haven't been back there since Papa took me in when I was a baby. Where the Lay of the Brotherhood takes place, however, is unclear in the saga, and it is said that the foreign explorer came seeking an audience with the Dawn Servant, but little more than that. Eorzea has a similar tale. An explorer, Ketenram, befriended a 2-headed king known as the Autarch before commencing his travels across Taral. He journeyed here several times afterwards, but was ultimately lost at sea. At least that is the commonly held belief. The 2-headed king certainly sounds like Papa, so this Ketenram fellow must have come to Tuliolol. But if he indeed arrived some 80 years ago, the capital may not have been built yet, vestiges of Yakyoi architecture notwithstanding. Wait, you said Autarch, didn't you? Then Ketenram must have met the Dawn Servant in Mamuk. Mamuk, is that a city? One of the grandest in Taral, once upon a time in the seat of Mamul Ja's homeland. It too lies in Yak'Tel, not far from Ikbroch. I don't know how to pronounce any of this stuff. And all things considered, Yak'Tel seems the obvious choice for our next destination. From here, the safest method of travel is by dirigible. We should make for the landing once our preparations are complete. We're riding in one of Koana's balloons. They can't be any worse than ships, can they? They're not one here where we're going. Oh yeah, it's normally like they're like at the bottom. The next flight to Yak'Tel will be leaving shortly. Passengers are asked to keep hands, legs, and luggage inside the dirigible at all times. Are we sure that thing will stay in the air all the way to Yak'Tel? Are you ready? Bags packed and her goodbyes said. There's no going back once we lift off. Not that I'm nervous or anything. I'm just making sure that you're not nervous. Oh, who am I kidding? My knees won't stop shaking. Hey, will you hold my hand? Just until I've settled my nerves. Of course. Maybe ask Aaronville. You're the nicest person I've ever met. I'll try not to crush your hand. There she is, third promise. Wait just a moment. Mabu. Mabu and Tobal, of course, of course. I'll wait as long as you need. Sorry to delay you, but we were able to discover the origin of Kryle's earring. That's so. You said before that it gained popularity in Yak'Tel as a protective ward for travelers, correct? That's right, we tracked down the elderly merchant whom first sales are attributed. According to him, the design imitates an accessory worn by a foreign mage he met at market some 20 years ago. Little did he know that charming taste of salt would prove to be a commercial triumph. The foreign mage wearing this earring could only be grandfather. Did the merchant happen to mention which market? One in Yak'Tel, to where it seems you are already bound. How, what a coincidence. What luck, then I shall seek my next clue once we arrive. Is it mere coincidence that brought my grandfather there, or yet another discovery to look forward to? Thank you both for coming all this way. Anything for the third promise. Good luck with the rest of the rite. Thanks, I won't let you down. I've just got to board this dirigible and I'm as good as there. Last call for passengers to Yak'Tel. I really hope she wins. Yak'Tel will test her mettle, without a doubt. Next Dawn servant must be willing to bear the full weight of this nation's history, no matter how heavy it may be. Dun dun dun.
The fierce Chapral hunters who laid claim to this land call it the Azure Forest, Yak'Tel. Battered by meteors in ancient times and colored mesmerizing shades of blue and green by nature, it is easy to understand why the place is so named. It is here, where the Chapral and Mamulja once battled for dominance, that the right of succession would reach its climax.
Yak'Tel, Yak'Tel.
Are you all right?
Air sick too, huh?
I've never been good with heights.
The vegetation is far denser than in Kozumautka.
I suggest you pay more attention to the ground, unless you want to walk straight into a cenote.
A cenote?
Sinkholes filled with rain and groundwater. Many meteors fell here long ago, it is said, and after they struck the Earth, it became susceptible to erosion. Deep as some of the pits are, you'll not climb out in a hurry should you take a tumble. So, don't take a tumble.
It was one time.
Is the Shabral community depicted in the Lay of Repast close by?
Aye. We need but follow the path a short way west.
Right. I can't stand here with my knees knocking forever. Let's get going.
Right. With thicker vegetation comes reduced visibility. I advise you to keep someone in sight at all times. Go around. It went this way, huh? Like a bridge. I have to go to lose it. Good, everyone's accounted for. Ixbra is up ahead. Let's be on our way. Aaronville was not exaggerating about the C notes. It would be a grueling ordeal to climb out of one. Well, thankfully we made it here without incident. Let's not dally any longer. Level 94, the leap to Yak'Tel. Level 94, Village of the Hunt. Uklamat's attention is divided between the perilously deep cenote and the Ishbrak. I don't know how to pronounce any of this. Ready to head on in. Our first task should be finding the Elector. Hopefully our relative tardiness will not reflect poorly upon us. The third promise in her retinue, I presume. You presume right. I seek the Dawn Servant's Elector. Then come and join us at the Garden of the Stars at the village center. Everyone is waiting for you. Everyone? And who might that be? There's but one way to find out. Come, let us follow him.
At last, we are graced by the presence of the third promise.
If I'd known we'd be waiting on your mangy hide, I wouldn't have bothered with a Ligarmanda in the first place.
Oh, they all had to be there then, huh?
You self-serving piece of weaver dung! Do you have any idea how many could have been hurt?
Now that we are assembled, let us begin. My name is Hunmuruk. As a Brash Rash, I have the honor of serving as a lector on behalf of my people. As all 4 claimants must be present for this feat, we have eagerly awaited your arrival. Third promise. If you would please join us.
Be like an eating contest or a quiz.
Thus far, you have faced each other as rivals. The feat of repast, however, will test your cooperation. You must complete this challenge in teams of 2.
What? You expect us to work with one of these weaklings?
Be warned. Only the triumphant team will receive keystones. I advise you to cooperate with your partner. Teams will be decided by lots. Those who draw the same color will be paired accordingly.
Twelve forbid Wuklamat is paired with Bakul Jaja. After all he's put her through, I wouldn't blame her if she did something rash. I might even help.
Claimants, please present your colors. I have red. Blue. On separate teams, then. And the rest?
Red. Which means...
Together again, as fate would have it.
Victory's as good as ours.
With our claimants thus paired, so too is their opposition.
Not the one-head.
Listen well, for the trial that awaits you is as follows. Each team is to prepare a sample of traditional Shebrol cuisine. Shebruk Bibil.
Not quite a not quite an eating contest.
And now we must cook. Another ludicrous feat.
So it might seem, but there's bound to be deeper meaning to it.
Agreed. Given that the very future of our nation is at stake, all parts of this rite must have significance.
Our promises have grown rather promising, wouldn't you say? Indeed. If I were to guess at the significance of the feat, few things reflect the history and development of a culture so clearly as its culinary traditions.
The variety of stewed dishes in Garlean cuisine bespeaks their agricultural roots and cold climes, true.
The peoples we've met on our journey, they've all had different practices involving food and drink. The Hanu replenish their magical energies with reeds, while the Pelu have turned their fondness of beverages into a living. So basically, to know a people's cuisine is to know something of their ways.
With each feat, we have deepened our familiarity with a given community's history and culture. Is this what Father intended for us all along? But a leader with his vision must see that the past doesn't hold the answers we need. It is through embracing innovation, not adhering to tradition, that we will usher Tuli Yolal onto a more prosperous future. The rules are simple. The first team to prepare and partake of satisfactory Shibruk Bivil will be deemed victorious. You will be judged by your sample's taste and appearance, as well as your adherence to appropriate cooking techniques. Kitchens have been made available for your use. Note that you may be asked to retry should your dish fail to pass muster. Let the feat of repast begin.
I've never actually heard of Shibruk Bibil before. What's it like, I wonder?
How fortunate that this feat's unique stipulations have frustrated Bakul Jaja's attempts to delay us. Serves him right. That's what he gets for endangering my people with his schemes. Why doesn't he just compete fairly? He's plenty strong and obviously has a mind for strategy, twisted though it may be. I'll never understand him. Putting aside our competition for the moment, allow me to express how glad I am for this opportunity to work together. As I see it, our team possesses a distinct advantage. Yeah, of course we do. Any team I'm on is bound to succeed. Precisely. You mean we have an advantage in numbers, yes? Our competition is a team of 6, and the 2 claimants, Cyril Jah and Bakul Jaja's lackeys. Whereas we are a team of 9, that's 3 more people we can mobilize. If the task is suitably delegated, it should be a brisk affair to learn the recipe and assemble necessary ingredients. Too easy. Well, we mustn't be overconfident, lest we make a careless mistake that could have easily been avoided. Our first order of business should be determining the recipe for Zibruk Pibil. We can hardly gather ingredients for a dish we know nothing about. Given the nature of this feat, asking for answers directly may prove less effective than simply observing the daily habits of the Shabral people. Let us gather here once we have seen what clues this village has to offer. We just have to ask people. Colorful spices. A number of spices, some entirely unfamiliar to you, are nestled in a basket. That one's called agiote. We mostly use it in a bit of color to our most popular cuisine, but its medicinal benefits are significant as well. Gonna be like behind buildings and stuff, usual. Climb up this. Oops. There we go. I see you, fastidious fellow. Recipe for Jibruk Kabil. Wish I could tell you, friend, a dish so delicious is meant to be shared. Alas, we are forbidden from divulging anything. Orders from Hunmuruk himself. But your mentioning it has given me a fierce craving. I only hope there's still a brook to be had at the market. We ought to cut our losses and head to Mamuk. This feat is nothing but a fool's errand. You are the fool if you think he won't tan our hides for leather if we dare to return without enough keystones. Besides, we've taken from the house cat before. How difficult could a second time be? What are you looking at, Salt Liquor? Mind your own business. We attuned to the other one, but there wasn't. Gemstone Trader. Banana. Unusually colored banana peel has been neatly arranged on the ground, which appears to be smoking. Oh no, it appears I've gone and dropped my Najul. I mean, Jatika banana peel. I could barely see it for all the steam issuing from my underground oven. Ah, there's nothing like enjoying a tasty banana while you use the leaves in your cooking. Cooked in banana leaves and spices. Maybe like tamales. Sorry, I'm back. What did we discover about Jibruk Prevailed? Due to your prediction, the villagers were forbidden from educating us, or directly. However, many were still preparing it as one might a staple dish, and observation of their techniques yielded clues enough. The lady blending local herbs and spices was only too happy to describe the ones I didn't recognize, while neither confirming nor denying any relation to Jibruk Prevailed. One in particular she attributed to all common Jibral dishes, Yak'Tel as she called it. See, then if Jibruk Pabil is indeed a dish as ubiquitous as Alphanol claims, we have confirmed our first ingredient. Meanwhile, I did observe a cook bearing bundles wrapped in the leaf of Najul or banana in certain localities. It would seem the use of subterranean ovens is commonplace. It's all the same. I think we all know what's inside those bundles, then, don't you? Jibruk, without a doubt. Sizzling slab of beef. It smelled so good I could practically taste it. The squeaky flesh of a bipedal fish. I don't know. As would be expected of a dish called Jibruk Pibil, indeed. So to summarize, the dish is one of Jibruk, flavored with a combination of spices that includes Yak'Tel, steamed underground within Najul or banana leaves. Given our assumptions are correct, we must now learn where and how to procure our ingredients. The staple cuisine, its ingredients would be close at hand, which is why Thancred and I scouted the surrounding forest while you were all exploring the village. Between the local vegetation and wild Jibruk, we should have everything we need in regards to meat and spices. Leave it to a master gleaner. With that, we should next divvy up our task. While some gather ingredients, others should make ready the kitchen. I can help prepare the kitchen. Permit me to assist as well. Our ovens will doubtless require firewood, and I have some experience in its gathering. I too should be glad to volunteer mine aid. And the rest of us will gather ingredients. I can make quick work of the spices and herbs myself. I'm happy to lead someone to a suitable Abruk if they will perform the requisite deed, Alize. As for the Najul leaves, I believe I am capable of acquiring that much on my own. Be warned, you won't find Najul in these parts. They only grow in the Jatika heartland, forests far below these. Such an excursion may be time-consuming. Perhaps we ought to try bartering first. This feat encourages our communication with the locals, after all. Lamachi, Zilly, if you would accompany me on my errand. No better way to whet my appetite. Good, let us be about our task then. Come on, let's go and get those Najul leaves. The sooner we do, the sooner we can eat. Level 94, Village of the Hunt, complete. Level 94, History of Violence. Goan has the look of a man intent on finding bananas. Let us see if there are Najul leaves to be had in town. Perhaps the cook Oriange mentioned might be persuaded to spare us a few. Here. Oh, hello again. Did you need something? Najul leaves for purposes other than Zabruk Pabil? Naturally. Fortunately, I've just used up my last. You'll have to travel to the lower forest for more. Golmajil Grove is the source of the finest Najul leaves you'll find. Wild variants you sometimes see in city markets can't compare. Let's see, I had hoped to avoid such a lengthy venture, but if there's no other way to obtain our ingredient, then to the Jatilka heartland we shall go. Allow me to save you the trip. Traveling there requires that you go through the Dayenbek Traverse, but it has caved in due to the recent storm, I expect. What? But that means we can't get our Najul leaves. But we can, can't we? If there were no other way of procuring them, you would have suspended this feat or else altered its objective. Perhaps. Anyway, I apologize for the interruption, but having overheard your conversation, I felt compelled to chime in. Very kind of you. Any last-minute advice you'd be willing to share? Only to undertake the feat of repast with an empty stomach, you may find the Zabruk Pabil to be delicious but daunting dish to finish. I can't wait. Still, if there are no leaves here, we can't travel for more. How are we supposed to gather all our ingredients? These feats are meant to deepen our understanding of the peoples and cultures of Tiliolol. Perhaps there is something about Zabruk Pabil that we have yet to learn, something of significance other than its recipe or ingredients. Oh, I see, like who was the first to make it, its history, that sort of thing. If it's Yak'Tel's history you're interested in, you should start with the Old War. Between the Sprawl and the Mamul Jah, right? These forests have borne witness to centuries of warfare, the evidence which remains a scar upon the earth. Know the end of that bloodshed is to know Zabruk Pabil. What does Steam Zabruk have to do with bloodshed? Precisely the question we must answer. Vexing though it such a detour may seem, I can think of no other way to approach this feat. In case you may wish to visit the site of a settlement ruined by the war, the village of Ilyan Aso lies a short distance to the east. The village of Ilyan Aso, understood. Thank you for the help. Come, let's go and see this place. Oh. I'm gonna be able to take mining. There we go. Bruce. Village of Ilyana must be further east. Let us continue with haste. For all we know, our competitors may be on our heels. All right. Villages. So this is the village of Ilyana, or what's left of it. It was a place of light and life. My great-grandfather called it home, in fact. Hey. Oogie-boo, I didn't know you were in Yak'Tel. I was picking up lumber from Igbraj when I heard the third promise was on our way to this site of deep historical significance. I immediately saw another opportunity to be of service, and so followed you here. Oogie-boo is a shipwright who came to our aid during the Feat of Reeds. Pleasure, you a member of the Third Promise's retinue, I presume? For the moment, I suppose I am. My name is Koana, pleased to make your acquaintance. Koana, now that's a good name, a familiar name. Where have I heard? You're gonna freak out again. Koana, as in the second promise of Tuliolal? To think that I address a Dawn servant's own son as some common retainer, such disrespect cannot be excused. Please take up your gun and... Oh, come on, not this again. Take no offense, so please do not dwell on it. Alright, then I shan't dwell on it. And right on cue, at least he's consistent. Called a running joke. I understand you wish to learn about Jibruk Pibil. While I am forbidden by the Jibrash Raj to divulge any information regarding its preparation, I would be happy to share what I know of Yak'Tel's history. We'd appreciate that. In the most basic sense, the conflict between Jabral and Mamul-Jah was one of land. Mamul-Jah live in the lower forest where the thick canopy obscures the sun and the soil is unforgiving to crops. This drove them to cover the upper forest, the home of Jabral, and they launched a determined campaign to seize it for themselves. Yet advantage ever favors higher ground, and the Jabral forces held the upper hand against the invaders, rebuffing them time and again. The state of this village would attest the tide eventually turned. What brought it about? Something you know all too well, blessed siblings. You must understand, the Mamulja were once a people as much at war with themselves as they were with others. The Hubago, Buniwa, and Dopro each sought to assert dominance over the others, even as they engaged in the Jabral and battle. In an effort to strengthen bonds and discourage infighting, Hubago and Buniwa leaders arranged a marriage between their children. However, this political marriage altered the course of history in ways no one could have ever imagined. Long believed that partners of differing clans could not have children together. Then it happened, a child arrived who shared the blood of Hubago and Buniwa both, a two-headed Mamulja. Blessed with tremendous physical strength and magical prowess, he grew into a mighty warrior before eventually arising as the first Autarch, ruler of all three clans. Such qualities would dispose anyone to leadership, character notwithstanding. Under the Autarch's rule, the newly united Mamulja became a force to be feared, and the war soon came to a head. I think it best you see the results firsthand. Let us visit another battlefield from that time, and there I shall continue the tale.
This is where most battles were fought between the Shabral and Mamulja, the Shobrit Cinder Field.
A field of cinders, indeed. How fierce their clashes must have been.
The war over these lands began after the Yokui's departure some 500 years ago. And for 4 centuries thereafter, the two enemies repaid violence with violence. A constant stream of minor skirmishes, punctuated by massive slaughter.
Until Father ended their endless conflict 80 years ago.
Accompanied by a retinue of only 6, the Dawn Servant opposed both armies and brought the fighting to a standstill.
First they sealed Valley Armanda at full strength, and now this.
It was during this armistice that both sides gathered for negotiations at the Dawn Servant's behest.
Echo.
For too long, you have been bound by your ancestors' violent legacy. It is past time you broke free of it.
Tell that to the Scale Scum! We fight to protect what is rightfully ours. If not for their greed, we'd be living in peace.
Puff your tails and scurry off, then! Cowards like you ill-deserve the bounty of this forest. Even should one of you succeed in vanquishing the other, your triumph will last only until a new invader arrives. Tell me, do you know of the vast continent that lies far to the east, where numerous nations vie for dominance? You do not. And why should you? Affairs beyond the salt we have no intention to cross are of no consequence to us. Not until those affairs come to Tural,
That Ken ran.
like our honored visitor here.
is from across the ocean.
I've been to the ocean before, and it's nothing but water farther than the eye can see. What sort of vessel could possibly reach its end?
That such technology exists is indisputable, as is foreign powers' awareness of Tural. If any such country were to develop a taste for Turali soil and bring to bear the might of innovations we can only imagine, what do you suppose happens then? You do not know the warlords of the East, but you know that if they came, they would not settle for a single forest. By joining hands, we might create a unified front, an alliance capable of repelling them or any other foe. There is no greater proof of these than my companions and I. Alone we are weak, but together we triumphed over Valigarmanda.
What? You defeated the Sky Ruin? I'd take you for a liar if the sting of our own defeat wasn't still fresh.
Their coordination was indeed impressive. How the Pelu stymied our efforts to cripple the Yokui's legs and defend our ballistas. And when we withdrew to strike again from a distance, the Hanu called the winds to make our arrows miss their marks. In seeking to exploit their weaknesses, we only subjected ourselves to their strengths.
Those strengths are born of cooperation. The guiding principle of the nation we envision.
But our feud has lasted for centuries. How do you expect us to join hands now?
Ha ha! Give us an evening to convince you.
And so began that legendary banquet. One would not expect sworn enemies to abruptly drink to each other's health, and, indeed, a tense silence hung over the venue. But then, the Dawn servant called for the exchange of traditional cuisine. So it was that the Mamulja partook of spiced meat, and the Chebral steamed najul. Before long, delight manifested upon the faces of those present, each side impressed by the other's dish. Seeing this, the Dawn servant laughed and declared once more. Their flavors, he said, would be even better combined, and he proceeded to help them prepare the new creation.
That's Shebruk Pibil, I'd wager.
It is a marriage of Chebral and Mamulja cultures, and proof of their newfound cooperation. The Dawn servant had asked for a single evening, but the feasting is said to have lasted 3 days and 3 nights. So delicious was their repast. In the end, a peace accord was reached, and the Dawn servant's words at that time still illuminate our way forward.
Ignorance begets strife. Understanding begets fellowship.
Sorry. It's just to think that he ended an age-old conflict with food. It's all so absurd. It's somehow so very papa, I couldn't help but laugh.
Ignorance begets strife. Understanding begets fellowship.
Now then, I trust you understand the significance of Shibruk Bibil and the history it has written.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing the story with us. What's wrong?
Being watched.
Someone was there, you say?
Perhaps our competition is cooking up some scheme or another.
Something bitter and half-baked, no doubt.
Papa really did live up to his words. He traveled the land and learned about our people's myriad cultures. And we're doing the same now. Level 94, History of Violence, complete.